Arsenal finally come to the realisation that there's a problem. A problem, in fact, that so many people have noticed and pointed out. And look, there's some things in this video that I want to get everyone's opinion on. Before we get into it, though, I want to ask one very quick favour. If you could, please do me a favour. It helps me out massively, and just give me a quick like on this video. So, the game yesterday was obviously frustrating, but I still want to know people's thoughts on the game. I like reading through and seeing how other people saw the game. So before I get into it, I just want you to give me, very quickly, just your thoughts on the game against Manchester United. Where did it go wrong for Arsenal? Where was the problems? Let me know. Look, for me, it was a massive frustration, and Arsenal have to now realise that there's a problem with this team in a couple of different areas that I want to speak about. But there's no way you can look at Arsenal's past couple performances and not come to the realisation that Arsenal are crying out for a striker. Now, there are a couple of factors that we need to take into consideration when you make a claim like Arsenal need a striker, because some people can say, look, last season we scored a record number of goals. Why do Arsenal need a goal scorer, an out-and-out goal scorer, to score 20 or 30 goals when last season we scored a record number of goals? Look, last season, so many things went Arsenal's way. Like we've stripped the club so bare that we've left ourselves vulnerable. Like, we've shipped out so many players. Whether them players were good enough or not may not have actually helped Arsenal in this situation anyway. Arsenal, right now, are lacking quality. Because you can say, well, last season, Trossard got double-figure goals. Havertz got double-figure goals. Odegaard, Saka is clearly world-class. So why do we need more attackers? But I could give you the numbers this season and say, well, none of these guys are performing this season. And when you leave yourself in such a vulnerable situation, it's easier to point at mistakes that you've made and say, look what you've done. You've got rid of all these players. You've not brought in enough quality, which I don't think Arsenal have done. There's at times where we've had conversation months ago where we're just hoping that we've made the right decisions. We hope we've had a good summer. Now we've had a few months to digest it. It's clear to see that Arsenal have left themselves in a position that they're vulnerable. Last season, you can say, look, Arsenal got so lucky with injuries. None of the key players got injured, but this season, you've had Odegaard injured, you've had Saka injured, and again, you've just left yourself vulnerable. So when that does happen, people can look at it and say, what's your backup plan? What other options do you have when you lose a player like Saka or Odegaard? Because the guys you're bringing in, they're just not good enough. Trossard, you're not scoring. Martinelli, not scoring. Kai Havertz, struggling. Jesus, struggling. Now, there's always a topic of discussion around Kai Havertz, because some people think he's good enough, some people don't. I think the large majority think Havertz probably has a place in the team, maybe more of a bench option, because if you're looking at Havertz as a player, he can bring things to this Arsenal team, but he's not the main guy. Like, he's got 12 goals already this season. We're just over halfway point of the season, so if he continues that run of form, maybe he can get to 20 goals. But in them big moments, you need like a striker. I don't know about you guys, but when Havertz stepped up for that penalty, like I wasn't confident. Like, Odegaard stepped up and I said, like, he's not going to miss 2 in a row. Odegaard will bury this penalty. And then I saw Kai Havertz step up and I didn't say anything because I was worried. I knew Havertz has the ability to miss a penalty, to miss a shot, to miss a chance, to miss a moment. Yes, he can pop up with a moment as well, but he's proven his track record is when he gets given chances, at times, he will not be able to convert. And that's exactly what we saw yesterday. If you have a world-class striker, for me, in my opinion, in that moment, they don't miss that penalty. Now, I'm not going to say because Kai Havertz missed this penalty, he's not good enough for Arsenal. But it comes to the point where you need to have a moment of realisation that maybe Kai Havertz isn't the answer to be Arsenal's out-and-out striker. So many times I've read in the comment section of this channel, Havertz isn't good enough to lead the line to Arsenal. And at times I've come back and said, well, he's actually scoring goals. Like, as a striker, what do you want your striker to do? The main thing is just score us goals. Please help us out by scoring goals when we create them for you. And Havertz at times has been able to do that. But there are times where he misses chances where you're thinking, would a Gyökeres miss that? Would an Osimhen miss that? Would other players as well? Now, we do need to be careful, because last season, people would have wanted us to sign Ivan Toney and Ollie Watkins. And if we did, I don't think those players would necessarily have been the right fit for Arsenal. Like, they wouldn't have been tearing up trees, performing at a way higher level than Kai Havertz necessarily. So I do think we need to be careful when we're sounding out options for Arsenal to bring in. I don't think we need to just go in and bring in a mediocre player who could be good. I want to go out there and bring in a real world-class striker. If we're going to make the leap, we need to bring someone who 100% will improve this squad. And that leaves you asking some questions. Who's available? Honestly, who's out there that you guys would want to sign in January? And can we even do the deal in January? Let me know in the comment section what you would do. Would you go out there and sign a player in January who's maybe slightly better than Havertz but still not that top level that you need? Or would you wait till the summer and then go and try and sign a Isak or a Gyökeres? Because people, like, I read it sometimes, people saying, well, just go and sign Isak for 100 million. Like, it's not just as easy as that. Like, if you want to go to Newcastle and say, right, we're going to buy Isak for 100 million, Newcastle aren't exactly strapped for cash. They're not going to be looking to push him out the door. They're going to say, what are you talking about? We ain't selling him halfway through the season. So I do think it's a slightly short-sighted when I say people saying, well, just go to Newcastle and give him 100 million for Isak, because that doesn't necessarily get the deal done. Like, you can't just say, just go to Sporting and offer him 80 million for Gyökeres, because again, you're midway through the season. You can't necessarily go to them and get that deal done, no matter what the figure is. And because it is January, you might be forced to play slightly more. It's a conversation that not many people like having. Like, you could buy a player in January, but you might end up paying 30 or 40 million more than if you wait and try and get him in the summer. Look, as us fans, because we're not playing, of course, we would say, well, just pay the money. Show ambition and pay the money to get the player. Of course I would do it. I know you guys would do it as well. But if you're looking at the club as a business, which unfortunately it is, not many people like to look at it like that, but they're not going to overpay by 40 million just to try and get the player a few months earlier. Now, like I said, I would want to do that. The club maybe can show ambition and go out there and bring in players, because it's obvious Arsenal need players. But we do need to have a level of realism. Arteta's making some comments that at times don't make sense. Like, he says we got the finished squad in the league in terms of attackers. But then after the summer transfer window, he was saying, I'm so happy with the business that we've done. So I think there is a level of contradiction with Mikel Arteta. I think he's saying things at times to kind of please the owners, please the fans. And at times it's hard for a manager to just come out and say what you think, but it's obvious at this point. Arsenal, of course we need better attackers. Of course we need to go out there in January and hopefully bring in, if it's not a striker, certainly a winger that can guarantee some goals. There's been some links out there with players like Nico Williams, Kolo Muani, who I don't think's the right option anyway. I'm going to have a video coming out in a few days actually breaking down some of these players and telling you maybe how legit some of these transfer rumours are. But we need to 100% go out there and operate in the January transfer window, because if we don't bring in that game changer in January, like, just, I don't know, go and buy someone for 60, 70 million in January. I'm reading reports saying that the money's available. I'm reading other reports saying Arsenal are so close to the FFP line. And without kind of looking through the financial situation at Arsenal, it's hard to understand as a fan where Arsenal are. Can we go out there and spend, or do we need to tread close to this FFP line? Do we need to sell to buy, which again, not many people like talking about? Because look, if it was me or you, again, you would just go out there and spend the money and get the player. I just hope Arsenal can do something in this January, because all of a sudden it's like this season needs saving. It's mad how much of a difference even a few weeks can make. Because if you're looking at Arsenal a few weeks ago, you would have said, look, we're probably not playing our best football. And I've made videos 3 weeks ago probably saying that exact same thing. We're not playing our best football, but we're still second in the league. Probably not as close to Liverpool as we would like, but we're still in EFL Cup. We're still in the FA Cup. We're in the Champions League. We're still doing well in the Champions League. And now only half of that is true. Like, straight away, only half of that's true. We're still second in the league. Like, we're still there or thereabouts in the league, but in the Champions League we're still second. But we're all of a sudden out of the FA Cup. It looks like we're out of the EFL Cup. We kind of need to go and do something that's never been done to get past Newcastle. Now, if we can go there and progress past Newcastle, again, maybe the conversation changes. Maybe we can look at things slightly better. But until that happens, like, you can understand the negativity around Arsenal. I don't know. It's frustrating. I understand the frustration out there. The game against Man United was nowhere near good enough. Look, I've spent 10 minutes talking and I haven't even spoke about the game yet. It was humiliating. The fact they had 10 men and we still didn't have the teeth to even look that like, why are we not scoring some of them chances? Why? And that's why it's more frustrating, because people say, well, if you had a real striker, of course you score some of them chances yesterday. And it's hard to disagree, because if you have a real proper striker, a number 9 who is capable of scoring 20, 30 goals a season, maybe some of them chances do go in. But just the play in general, like, people say, yeah, well, we bossed the game. Yeah, of course we bossed the game. They had 10 men. They was looking to sit deep. They wanted to drag us into extra time. They would prefer penalties. I don't know. It's so frustrating. Like, we've got to play Spurs in 2 days. A game we have to win. If we lose against Tottenham as well, the conversation will only get worse and worse. Like, Arsenal need to be careful not to fall into a bit of a rut here. Like, the frustration in the fan base online, on social media, is turning toxic. Arsenal just need to start scoring. The defence is strong enough. We understand the defence is good. The midfield, could we have done something different? We maybe need one more, but we need to try and get that attack working. It was good to see Sterling back. Did he really impact the game as much as I like? No. Was he trying to beat his man? Yes. Was he as good as Ranieri? No. Was he as good as Saka? No. But it's one of the options it seems like we have to use at the minute. Whether you like Sterling or not, it was good to see him back on the pitch, because we're struggling for options. Sterling might have to play against Tottenham. Martinelli's going to have to play. Trossard's going to have to play. Kai Havertz will probably have to play that game. None of us want to see some of them players necessarily, because it's like, they're not good enough at times. Like, you can look at it now and say you need to start scoring. The way you're playing is not good enough. Look, that's just my thoughts. I might have gone on a bit of a rant there, but it's just frustrating. I understand. I see the frustration, and yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts in and around the Arsenal transfer window. Who do we need to go for? Thanks so much to everyone for watching and listening. Before you go, if you could, like I said, do me a quick favour. Just like and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.